Hi everybody,
Hi,
it's Alan
Aisha.
and it's been a little while since we last posted, but
Mm,
we thought we would give you guys a midwinter update.
indeed.
So Christmas is over, New Year is over, and we are in the most challenging time of the year if you're a boater. This is where you find out whether you're a real boater or not,
Indeed.
because you've got 3 months of rain, ice, maybe snow, cold
Cold,
weather,
damp is the worst.
damp, yep, condensation, and
Hmm.
general miserableness until spring finally bursts forth.
And to
So,
sort of make that particularly worse, it's more expensive to be on a boat in the winter, which is kind of really annoying. At the hardest time of year, it's the most expensive time of year. We thought we'd talk about some of those extra costs today as well, if you're
yeah.
interested.
So we're still on the Thames. It's
Mm.
been some incredibly cold weather. And how much coal would you say we were using in 1 week when it was
I don't know.
really Arctic?
We're buying coal in 20 kilogram bags at the moment, and I would say one 20 kilogram bag lasts us 2 days. We're
Two
kind of,
days.
let's call it 10 kilograms of coal a day. To be fair, we've got two fires on this boat because we're 70 foot long.
Mm.
And I think if you've got a boat our length, you kind of need those two fires. Otherwise, it's toasty down one end
Yeah.
and freezing down the other, and the other's our bedroom.
Um,
So, yeah, 10 kilograms a day.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. You can see it eats it up, and you can really
Mm,
tell when it gets milder as well, because the weather goes up and down.
mm,
As soon as it gets milder, what happens is you don't have to burn so much coal. You can really
yeah,
see the difference.
yeah.
And it is a challenge. So if
Mm,
anybody is thinking of getting a boat, think about the length of it. It just makes a lot of difference. So
yes.
this is why we
Mm,
put a stove in the stern, which is where our master bedroom is.
mm.
And the further from the stove at the front here in the bow, the colder it gets. So,
And I'll add something to length of boat that I've just discovered because we've bought our first gold license from Canal and River Trust, the body that you can buy your license from. A gold license, for those of you who don't know, allows you to go on the River Thames
right.
and on the canals. But here's another expense. If you want to have access to both of those waterways and buy your annual license through Canal and River Trust, CRT, on a 70-foot boat, we paid, was it 1,550 or something like that? It was over £1,500
Yeah.
because of the length of our boat. Our neighbour behind us, who's on a wide beam, at 60 foot, only paid 1,400.
Wow.
So really think about that because it would seem Canal and River Trust, you're really paying for the length and much less so than the width. Another opportunity that we could have had as we're on the Thames this year, if we knew that we were going to stay on the River Thames and not use the canal systems, we could have bought ourselves a Thames license, which I think for the same period of time, because they go on width and length, and we're only a
Right.
narrowboat, would have
Yeah.
only been 850. So that's 850 compared with 1,550 for a gold license that would allow us to go on the canals. So have a think about that, guys. Whether you're deciding to buy a license that allows you on the canals as well as the
Yeah.
Thames, and if you are going to be on the canals, really think about the length of boat.
These things you find out
Indeed.
as you go in, and I do not think you can know everything in advance.
No.
You know, you very much, a lot of people buy a boat and it's a romantic dream, and then they discover that they have to spend quite a lot of money maintaining and repairing it, and then you've got the license and so forth. So, just a word of warning,
Mm.
it is a lifestyle choice. Um, and that brings me to our water filtration system.
Mm.
Now,
Still
it's,
going strong.
yeah, it is. Well, you know,
2 years on now.
yeah, nearly 2 years.
Mm.
And what we're finding is we're changing the filters. I'm just going to reach down and get this
Here we go.
filter.
It's like Blue Peter.
So there we go. That's what a dirty filter looks like. Do you know which? Was this the 50 micron?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
So this is the big one that starts the filtration system, the process, and then it goes down to smaller and smaller filters, finer and finer. That is, no, they're not
Yes.
smaller, the same length.
And something we have discovered being on the Thames in winter, and we think it's probably, well, let me backtrack. Being on the Thames in winter, we seem to be going through our 50 micron filters quite quickly.
Yeah.
And we think it's probably because there's a lot of current in the water, so it's kicking up the silt. So that very first filter can get clogged quite fast. We'll keep you posted on that, but it's quite interesting. Having said that, it's not outrageously expensive in that if you buy a
How
whole...
much are they?
I don't know. I bought like a box of 30 and that often will last me the whole year. And I think maybe each filter was working out at about £1.
50, something like that?
Not even that.
Not even
it may
that.
even actually been less than
Okay.
that. So if you use a couple of those a month, you know, that's not the end of the world. But that was quite interesting. That's not something we were getting so much on the
Yeah.
canals. Although I think the water is cleaner on the Thames, interestingly.
Yeah.
But that silt is still going to clog up your filter. But
Yes.
still well worth having, right? Wouldn't you say?
Oh, it's fantastic because you don't have to keep moving the boat. We have a bath, a full-length bath, and
Yes.
Aisha's rather fond of
I am
baths.
rather fond of baths.
Which means that we use our water probably faster than a lot of people. We do a lot of our own cooking.
Yes.
And that means piles of washing up as well.
Yes.
So what this means is we don't have to keep moving our boat every 10 days to fill up our tank. And it's just marvelous. It is, I know some people, some of you guys out there appreciate this off-grid living.
Yeah.
So we have progressively over the 5 years that we've had our boat moved further and further along that spectrum of off-grid living.
Yes.
So our aim to be as self-sufficient as possible.
Yes.
So I don't know, is there anything else that you want to say?
I was going to add, even if you're not moving, let's say you're stationary during the winter, which is quite interesting because we'll maybe talk a little bit about winter mooring. But I note with friends of ours where we are at the moment, because we've decided to winter moor where we are. So we're going to stay stationary for a number of months. That's what we mean by that. Our fellow boaters still have to move because they've got to get down to the water pump every couple of weeks, let's say, whereas we literally don't have to move, which is very nice.
Yeah.
We thought talking of winter mooring, we thought we might do a separate program on winter mooring. We've winter moored occasionally on the canals.
Yeah.
The canals are wonderful in that as long as you move every 2 weeks, you don't pay anything. The Thames is a little different. I won't say too much about that at the moment, except to say it's very different rules. You do pay for mooring, but it doesn't always have to be outrageous, and there's certain rules and regulations around winter mooring.
Yeah.
So we thought we might share some of those differences in perhaps the next YouTube video
vlog.
that we do. And one of the other interesting things that's come up for us is how would I say, if you're not on a, let's say, an official mooring, you're not in a marina on the Thames, how do you winter moor? Okay, because you're on a much bigger body of water. You've got a current going by that's much faster and stronger.
And a lot of the Thames floods.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We're going to talk about that and what do you do about it?
What do
Because
you do if it floods?
if you're not careful, if the river really floods, you'll wake up one morning and find your boat's in the middle of a park. And then you've got a problem because how are you going to get that boat back on the river when the water level goes down?
So if any of you guys are interested in a little guerrilla winter mooring on the Thames, then we'll talk a bit about that in our next show. But I guess I wanted to end by saying, although we're talking about increased costs, we've said coal is for sure an increased cost.
Sure.
I would say diesel, if you're using diesel central heating system, that increases in the winter.
Yeah.
What else would you say you want to factor in
Wood.
winter?
We always start our fires with kindling and a small log.
Yeah.
and you build up the heat that way, and that heats the coals, and
Yeah.
then you just keep feeding the coal in.
Yeah. And
So you
maybe
need that as well.
maybe more in cost if you choose to winter more, and many people do, because it
Yeah.
is a less pleasant time to be moving around on the
Yeah.
winter. So there are these increased costs, but I was going to say there is something lovely about being on a boat in the winter. There is something very cozy and romantic.
Yeah.
Especially if you are a boater who has a multi-fuel stove, because we start our day by lighting the stove. It's Alan's job. Anything that involves cold and nastiness,
Yeah.
I'm afraid,
I
is
get
your
all the
job.
nasty
Indeed.
jobs, really. Yes.
Emptying compost loos, that sort of thing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Filling the diesel tank.
Occasionally, I get a meal cooked for me as well.
Yeah, it's a fair deal.
Occasionally, I said.
But there is a romance. There is something very snug and lovely about snuggling down on your boat on a winter's morning or evening, and enjoying this time of year. I wish you could have seen it. A week ago, we had our Christmas lights up and the Christmas tree and Christmas lights out on the boat. So there is a magic. So don't let winter put you off.
There is.
It can be a magical time, but I would say factor in those extra costs if it's
And I just
something you want to do.
Just reminds me of a lovely memory, and that is New Year's Eve. Us two and four other boaters who were moored near us. We gathered on the towpath at midnight and watched the fireworks on a laptop, and we sang city songs and Auld Lang Syne, and we saw fireworks going off around us, and then we lit a balloon. You know, one of the fire balloons, that float off into the sky.
Only one.
Only one, yes.
We don't want to set too many people.
We didn't set light to anything.
I know.
Or nothing that we could see anyway. And it was magical.
It was.
So magic happens when you live on a boat, you gather with other boaters, or you find a unique place, and in midwinter as well, in the darkest time. So we're now past the winter solstice, and spring is coming.
Woohoo!
It's a long way off yet, though.
But each day is a few more minutes of light.
Yes, it is. And you can really feel it when you live out in the open like this. You can feel the changing in the light.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so once again, we have begun another year on our boat.
Yes.
Year number 6.
That's right. We're into the 6th year on this boat.
And we're still loving it.
Yeah.
And apologies for the long break between programs, but we are back.
Vlogs.
Yes.
They're called
vlogs.
Vlogs.
Is that the vernacular?
I think it's Russian, actually, a vlog.
Anyway, we are back with vim and vigor to share with you some of our own experiences of life on a narrowboat.
Okay.
Come see us again next week.
It.
Yes.
We'll see you soon.
Take care for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.